Hello and welcome to the GBC. I'm your host, Nash Kohlberg. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with Dustin Sinner. Dustin is the owner of Dustin Sinner Fine Art. Dustin Sinner Fine Art has been always inspired by the traditions of his home state, South Dakota, and the good old USA. He has a buzz around him in the art industry, and we're happy to have you on.
All right, appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so I don't know if you know, but we start every episode of GBC off with a 5-question rapid-fire quiz. It's kind of like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but better, because today there's $50 to Cenex on the line if you can get four of the 5 right.
Okay.
Are you ready? First question. In the 1990s, this artist was commonly dubbed the most popular artist in America.
Terry,
yeah. Correct. Question number 2. Where is the largest pheasant statue in the world?
Is it in Huron?
Huron. Correct. Okay, this one might be a little more tough.
Ooh.
A painting recently sold as the most expensive painting in the world at $450 million. Who created that painting? One of the most popular artists of all time.
Say Picasso.
2 questions. I think you can get it.
Okay.
This one's a little tough too. In America, every year, more or less than $1 billion is spent on fireworks throughout the year, specifically for 4th of July.
Mm-hmm. Well, knowing what my friends and I spend on them, I'd say more.
Correct. And then the last question, who should somebody call if they are in need of a painting or a mural or a piece of art?
They call me.
Correct.
Yeah.
4 out of 5. Just barely skinned it, but you did get it. So, as we dive in, kind of give us a background of this Dustin Sinner Fine Art. How did it get started? What's the origin story?
It all started in high school, just a couple drawing classes, photography classes. Had some good teachers there that then kind of like, hey, you should keep doing this. You should look into going to college for it and things like that. So that's when I went to University of Sioux Falls. Mm-hmm. And as kind of when I was there, had a couple other really good professors. And it's a small school and a small art program. So I had 2 really good professors that kind of like, hey, you should focus on your art or on your painting and your photography parts of things. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of how I fine-tuned my art skills and the education thing. And then I met my wife Missy while I was in college, and she was into photography. And then for 15 years, we had a photography studio, Emil Portraits. Mm-hmm. And there I didn't do much of the portrait photography stuff, but I was kind of a journalistic photographer. But then also I did all the background, so back-end work as far as retouching, graphic design, and all that. Mm-hmm. And while I was there, I didn't paint probably for 10 years, something like that. And then my sister and my brother-in-law built a new home, and they had this huge wall that they needed a big abstract painting for. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm gonna try this. Let's do something here. And that was, I think, 2014, something like that. Mm-hmm. And that was my first painting that kind of triggered where we're at today. And just kind of kept growing that one step at a time, practice, just kind of playing around. And then, just started getting some commissions, and that kind of led then to creating a brand for myself. We're now, I did a retail store for 3 years, which was a lot of fun, to help kind of see if I could sell my art and see if people buy it. And that was a lot of fun. And it kind of taught me that I could keep pushing it and keep growing it if I put the effort in. So
sure. And being from a lot of your pieces are what you're passionate about, and being from Watertown, South Dakota, they're all evident part of Watertown and mm-hmm. South Dakota in general. How did that influence you and the artist you are today?
Yeah, so growing up here, being surrounded by the Terry Redland, the Josh Spizes, John Greens, these amazing wildlife artists, seeing their success and how they could, you know, make amazing livings off this, and it was like, oh, because growing up, you're kind of taught, if you're like, oh, you're an artist, like it's not really, people don't push that as a career choice as much as they probably should, in my opinion. And so I just kept in photography kind of also. Then I'm like, oh, photography is an art, you know, and so that was kind of a learning lesson for me to like, well, you can kind of, I can do this. And all the things around growing up here in Watertown really helped me kind of figure out kind of subject matter I wanted to kind of paint as an artist. And at first I thought I had to do just wildlife because that's what we were surrounded with around here, right? But then, you know, I traveled a lot, just, you know, vacation travel, fun stuff, and you start seeing other forms of art. And so I try to bring that back, you know, to my region, my hometown, and try to kind of mix all the things in my head together, you know, all the pastimes from hunting, wildlife, but I also, you know, golf, like what do we all do around here, you know, lake life, things like that. So like try to tell the story of, you know, the cultures around here kind of, and the lifestyles. And so, you know, I love the nostalgia of the different things that we're surrounded with. Right. And, you know, I have a good memory, I feel like, so I kind of like to be like, oh, I remember, you know, Kempesky days back in the 90s was a big thing, and or 80s and stuff, growing up as a kid, you know, to golf tournaments, to, you know, vacationing on the lake, you know, things like that. You know, traveling out to Rapid City as a kid, like Mount Rushmore, all that stuff. I mean, that's a lot of, you know, a lot of history of our state, kind of. Right. But so yeah, I try to use those things to inspire me to kind of help create my art. Yeah, you can kind of do. It seems like you can kind of do everything, lots of different styles, but your main style is this. I don't know what you call it, distress techniques and whatnot. How did you get your style? Well, you know, when I got back into painting, I was just kind of, you know, dabbling in different styles, trying to learn different painting techniques. Kind of used, I was taught some of the traditional stuff, but then I was like, well, I want to create my own look, and so that, like, I got into using a palette knife, and so the palette knife kind of helped, like, open my mind to different things, because I was just never did that. I was just using typical brush work and things. And then the distress thing actually is a funny story. It was like I was doing art shows, and I'd have these, brand new paintings all done, and the next thing you know, I'm like, oh man, I got a scratch on that. And then I was like, well, that's actually kind of like one of them. I was like, that actually kind of looks cool. So then I just started scratching my stuff, like just distressing it, doing different runs, different like aging techniques, I call them, to kind of help create that story. And then, like I said, like the nostalgia in my work, there, when I use that style or text and different things, it's kind of like old sign art, or billboards, things like that. So, yeah, that's kind of how I got into all that. Cool. On a little different note, you mentioned starting out. What were some of those initial struggles, or what were a couple struggles you've had to overcome in your journey so far? Well, initially it was like you have to stick with one look. Like for me, like it's like, oh, this is, you have to do this, or you have to have your one kind of like style, like it was just all realism or all abstract kind of. And I'm like, well, that's kind of what scared me away from actually being an artist for a while. It was like, that's why photography was like, well, this is nice. I can just stick with this thing, and it's a fun career to have. But then I started like, well, what if I do it all, and kind of have my own styles in all of it. Like my wildlife style is different than most, I would say, out there. My abstract style, I feel like it has its own look. Sure. But that was a struggle. At first was trying to feel like you had to fit in a box, kind of. And so, but then I got over that, and that helped me grow. The other struggle is in just self-doubt, if anything, as an artist. Like, you're like, are people going to like it or not going to like it? And and one of the things that I think helped me, and I think that's just for any business owner, is like, really just don't worry about what anybody else thinks. Yeah. And focus on, like for me, it's like I have to care. It's all about, it has to be good to me.
Right.
you know. And once I got that in my head, and do it my way, and not for the. I mean, you want to do it for the customer, but you got to create the art has to come from you, from your heart, and so that really pushed me, helped push past some of those barriers, kind of. And now I'm not. I used to be kind of scared, you know, to grow almost, and now I'm not really intimidated as much as I used to be in certain situations.
That's a great piece of advice, especially as somebody who is an artist or maybe thinking about being an artist. Is there any other pieces of advice you would give to them, somebody in your shoes a few years ago, or what would you give to say to them?
Yeah, I'd say just keep grinding. You know, if you have, like, you just don't ever give up. You just kind of keep. You always, you know, we're going to learn from yourself, you know, and like when you do have the struggle, the best part, it's like even when I'm working on a painting and I'm like, man, this isn't working out really well. When you get past that barrier, the reward is so worth it, you know, and you're always going to have those barriers. Like they're going to keep coming the rest of your life. And so you just keep on working and you know, like just focus on what's in your head, you know, and don't let other things kind of manipulate your thoughts, you know.
Yeah. Sweet. One question that just quick popped in my head was when it comes to, I mean, obviously you're a creative guy, you're coming up with all these ideas. What gives you inspiration to come up with these ideas and this stuff?
A lot, kind of just life experiences, you know, like different things I do, and I'm like, man, this is fun, you know, and like things just get triggered, you know. It's kind of like most of my stuff are probably from different, you know. You're on a vacation and you come across some cool thing, and you're like, well, that's really cool, or like that's kind of what triggers it, I guess I could say.
Okay. So explain to us a little bit about the personal fulfillment of your business versus your commercial, the business side, how you make that work.
Yeah, so it's always a challenge. Like you want to pay your bills, so you have to figure out you want to sell your art, but you don't want to be a sellout, right?
Right.
As people would say, but you know, part of me is like, if I'm trying to create my style so it's fulfilling myself and fulfilling my you know, my customers, and fulfilling people and making them happy. And because when I create art, you're trying to, you know, get emotion out of people too, and trigger something in them. And I feel like, you know, I've been try to work hard to create a style that can please a lot of people. And like I said, makes myself happy as an artist as well when I'm creating them, and that's why it helps for me to have. I like doing a variety of different looks, you know, not just one style. Because there's like some days I feel like sitting down and painting a super realistic wildlife piece. Some days I feel like I just want to paint an abstract piece, and so I'm like, well, if I can create all these different things, then I'm fulfilling myself, also fulfilling other people and putting art in their homes. The mural pieces are kind of that same thing. People come to me and they, you know, have an idea for, you know, a mural on their wall. They always kind of have a story they want to tell, you know, in their business or home or whatever it is. And so I try to use my skills and things that I've, you know, developed over the years to help, you know, create a commercial piece for them, but also bring out my artistic style that make sure it's fulfilling me as well. Was
there a piece or a specific project that made you think, like, what was one of your first pieces that were like, I want to do this? Or, I mean, I know you mentioned the one in that house, but were there any others that were kind of like meant a lot at the beginning, or? I had a piece, I think that the first, it was like, I think it was a Make-A-Wish event or something. I was in high school. And my drawing teacher was like, "Hey, Dustin, you should, you know, do a portrait of this person." And so I did this thing, and it just raised a lot of money for the organization, for the family, and it kind of made me happy. And that was something that I was like, I want to do this. Like that's why I do a lot of commission work, and I really get a lot of self-fulfillment from that, you know, because I know that it's what it's going to bring to them. And to like the family or the person or whatever it is triggering their emotions from them. I just had a recent auction piece for a local Catholic school where I did a piece of Jesus. You know, it was a black and white painting, and just seeing like the people
how inspired they were. I was like, kind of like got me inspired again. Like that's what kind of like feeds me as an artist,
Right.
I'd say.
Are there some pieces right around here? Is that the one?
Yeah, that's the Jesus piece. And then, like the different, like that's like other pieces over there that just kind of, those are just my nostalgia stuff, you know, that just like try to tell the history and the story of like where we are, where I grew up and where I was raised. And, I think we always forget about kind of the pastimes and like things that were here before us. And even though we're not that old of a state, but
Right.
there's a lot of fun things, and I think it's kind of good to like look back on like all the different things that have happened in our communities and our state, and so yeah.
So could you explain to the audience how the reproduction process works on one of these pieces?
Yeah.
What that is?
Well, it varies on the style of piece because some of my pieces can have a lot of texture, so that can get tricky. And certain sizes. You can send them in to get some really good companies, this high-res scans. Sometimes you can just take really nice high-end digital images and patch them together. And with our cameras now, they're unbelievably sharp and accurate. And then now there's a lot of print labs out there. We actually go use the same print lab we use in our photography days. They're great to work with, and there's a lot of options. It's almost overwhelming. It's kind of one of the things I actually struggle with is like, man, there's all these things you can print on. It can be canvas, it can be wood, it can be metal.
Right.
But I always still try to, find the kind of like the right fit for the art,
Sure.
So I try to make it still looks like a one-of-a-kind kind of original piece too. Some pieces, some of my abstracts, I don't really still reproductions of because it's hard to, make them look accurate to the original.
Sure.
But yeah, it's kind of nice as an artist too. Then you can a variety of people can have a piece of it anyways.
Sure. So now that you've established your brand and you kind of have that presence, how do you promote yourself and get more of your name out there? Or what are your goals in terms of your business?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, social media is always huge, and you're trying your best to get the clicks and get people to start following you. And I feel like as an artist now, you almost kind of want to show out your process too. I think that's going to be huge for me. That's my next steps that I really want to push is like having people see me work and tell my story, through the video of what I'm doing on a daily. As far as people, it's easy for people to see photos of it, but I think they like to enjoy the process. I think the people I follow, artists I follow, the ones that have a lot of followers, they're showing themselves as an artist and being vulnerable anyways. Yeah. So I think that's kind of important to help grow yourself. My next steps, I think that it's like everything's time. Like you get busy trying to run the business and make art. But like the mural work is huge for me. I got into that about a couple years ago, and I think that's really helped grow my art.
How did you get into that?
Trying to think. I had a cousin. He has a brewery out in Maryland, and I do beer labels for him.
Oh, cool.
And so he was like, I got this big wall in our tasting room, and I want to can you just do your abstract style on this wall? And so I'm like, well, heck yeah, well, it's worth a try. I'll try it out. And that was kind of triggered. Like, I like painting this big. This is really fun, and there's a lot of different applications a person can use, and it was a different challenge. So like I said, I kind of don't mind trying different things out, different art styles out, and so that triggered doing the murals. And then I had another customer that wanted, kind of like nostalgic sports mural for their sports facility, and that kind of got me into like the old signage and almost like sign painter.
Sure.
Old sign painters, like everybody used to actually hand paint billboards, right?
Yeah.
So that triggered a whole nother side of my art.
Sure.
So I think that's helped grow me as well, and it will keep helping me in the future. And then it really, I think a lot of artists that I know that have done well, you just got to put yourself out there, even on doing trade shows. Got to So I haven't done that yet. So that's kind of my next goal is to take my brand now from the regional, local level. I want, if I want to push myself, I feel confident enough in myself now. For a while there, like I said, self-doubt can go a long ways. Right. Well, now I feel like I'm excited to go try to take it out there farther, do some national trade shows for, if it's a, Pheasants Forever convention, or, find the convention or the group of people that I think would enjoy what I create. Kind of still keep you, and so you can kind of tell that story and your roots, but tie it to bigger audiences. Yeah, like another thing I learned when we had the retail store is we sold a lot of different products and different other vendors, and I've learned kind of like the wholesale side of things was kind of interesting to learn, and how if I can create these local lake pieces that tell the nostalgia of around here, I'm like, well, what if I can grow this, create these from all the national parks or something like that, and then create artwork that then can tell that story of that park, and then get it to those stores in different parts of the country. That's a great idea. Yeah, I'm excited. Sweet. As kind of a cap off here, get to know the artist. I'm going to ask you a few rapid fire questions on your favorite pieces of art in different industries. We'll start off music. Favorite artist? Hans Zimmer. Sport? I'd say golf. Gotta. Movie? Gladiator. Favorite actual artist? I'm going to say Jackson Pollock. Favorite photographer? There was one I really liked back, and it was Parker Fitzer was his name. He was an amazing wedding photographer, so I'll go with that. Okay. And then hobby? I love being outside, so I'd say hunting, like archery hunting. It's real peaceful. Nice. 2 questions, more personal for me. Best course you've been on, and hunt. Best hunt? Probably there's Wyoming. You go to Wyoming, that's an amazing place to go hunt because the views are really, really nice. Yeah. Also, Iowa's good too, so they're kind of about equal. Sure. Iowa deer hunting is pretty amazing. Sure. And then best course, is that what you said? I think I have to go. I went to St. Andrews. I have to go the original course because it just wouldn't be. But yeah, there's a lot of good ones. Sweet. If you happen to find yourself in a creative rut, what are things you do to kind of get out of that? Take a break, go travel, do something, do something do something for myself, and then that's usually then something gets triggered, and then because usually if I'm in a creative rut, you're probably worn out a little bit mentally, and so yeah, that's what I do. Get away for a bit. Get away for a bit, yeah. Nice. Well, we appreciate you coming on. Yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah. We hope you at home can get something from this, take it away to your business life, next project. If you want to get in contact with Dustin, we'll have his information below so you can check that out. Also, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to GBC, and we'll see you next time.